informalities. So some of the informalities. Everybody always asks, is this live? It's live, people. It's live. How live is it? Well, about this live. As I said, it's kind of an interesting trading session. It's getting a little bit, it's getting a little wild out there. We went from no wild to wild in literally two trading sessions. We'll take it. We'll take it. Actually, this is going to fit nicely into today's discussion. So yes, it's live. And by the way, yeah, if you're in Southern Florida, I heard it's incredibly hot there. I actually just got back from Virgin Islands. I've been back stateside here for about 2 weeks, and I'll be here for a while. I like to kind of ride out hurricane season in the desert, try out, avoid some storms over there, not traumatize my children going through like a category 3 or 4 hurricane. So with that, I do appreciate you guys kind of tuning in today and chatting in where you're joining us from. We often have people joining us from all over the world too, which is it's kind of cool. Um, Yes, this is live. By the way, I'm reading chat in real time. I'm more than happy to answer questions. I'll even type answers to you as we go along. If I don't answer your question during the session, I'll hit it towards the end. So absolutely unequivocally, you can ask questions throughout the course of this. Let's get to it. Let's that's your informalities. Let's get down to it. So, all right. So this is new. Once the freeze point cracks, big moves erupt. We're going to be discussing freeze points today. Again, my name is Don Kaufman. I'll be introducing none other than Gianni DePoce in just a few minutes. Risk disclosure. Obviously, we're no longer in the brokerage world. Both Gianni and myself have actually spent extensive time in this world, both as brokers and registered investment advisors. Copyright disclaimer, it's mine. It's all mine. Look, if you need to get a hold of me after today, the real reason I throw this up here, specifically me or Gianni, support at theotrade.com. Put our name in the subject. Put our name in the subject, goes directly to us. We kind of have a cool way of sending emails here at Theotrade. And that is we use a common inbox. Everybody emails to support at theotrade.com and then literally kind of routes, depending upon what's in the subject matter, to a given individual. So it's good. It's good to go. All right. A few housekeeping. Look, this is a skill set, and Johnny's actually going to go through quite a bit today in terms of not only in examples. And one of the things that always comes up here, and I want to front run this one, always comes up. Okay, he's going to show you a little bit about freeze points, which is something Johnny and I have discussed extensively over time. This actually impacts my trading a lot. He's going to discuss freeze points. He's going to show you a couple of examples from the past. I promise we're actually going to show you, okay, right on the verge of trade here now. So don't just think of like this is, post, trading. There's actually going to be trades that are, the here and now. And that's critically important. I wanted to get that out of the way. So I say to you, shut the door, turn off Skype chat, whatever. There is no more Skype. It's Telegram now. Get rid of Facebook forever. You'll be better for it. Phone's on silent mode. I'm checking. My phone is on silent mode. Definitely kick out the kids. The dog can stay. Focus, because he's going to go through a lot. All right. Pressure is building beneath the surface. You can feel it in the markets, in headlines, in your portfolio. You can constantly feel pressure. Whether that pressure is just in the markets, whether the pressure is in your portfolio, whether it's in headlines. I mean, again, it is absolutely fever pitch in these markets. Cracks are already forming quietly, but they're forming. Okay. Charts that look calm, moves that stall without reason. Okay. Pressure building without visible catalysts. Everybody always wants to attach a catalyst to these moves, but pressure builds, and it's constantly building without that visible catalyst being there. Now, a little bit about me. Okay, give you the nickel tour. Again, my name is Don Kaufman. Some of you guys are brand new here to TheoTrade. I'll give you my background, and in a few minutes, of course, we'll introduce Gianni DePoce. So my background in the markets. I started actually making markets in 1998. I always say this, everybody always has a story how they got involved in finance, right? I grew up in finance. I literally went to trading floors when I was 5 years old, 8 years old. I grew up in it. I had family that traded on the floor in Chicago Board Options Exchange. I never ever had any intention of going into this business. Okay. It just kind of happened. I was 3 weeks out of college. Had a cousin call me up and said, I need a clerk. You want to do this thing for the summer? Want to come to Chicago, drink a couple of beers, come down to the trading floor? It'll be fun. 3 weeks out of college, I went from ramen noodles to working on a trading floor. Initially, a clerk just gets people stuff. Okay. 3 weeks after I was in Chicago, somebody showed up to work late, still intoxicated from the night before, fired him, trading a seat. That's basically how I got involved. It was just kind of fell backwards into it. If you put a 22-year-old kid on a trading floor, they ain't never going to leave. That was 1998. Shortly after I was on a trading floor, about 18 months, I was actually trading in Chicago. I was actually going up the escalator off the trading floor at Chicago Board Options Exchange. Okay, I call him a long hair hippie came over to me, and literally a long hair hippie guy came over to me. I know him really well. That gentleman happened to be the name of Tom Sosnoff. Tom Sosnoff said, "You're young, okay? You look like you know what the hell you're doing. You're working for the right people." He goes, "Why don't you come off the trading floor? We're starting a firm." He goes, "I have no idea if it's going to be successful. Take some risk with me. We're going to call it Thinkorswim." And I'm like, "What?" And okay, sounds good to me. I left that professional trading world, went full time with Thinkorswim in 2001. I went on to actually build the entire education division of Thinkorswim. I worked on the trading application before the trading application was even released to the public. My claim to fame is a lot of the analyzed tab of Thinkorswim, which is the most feared tab in the Thinkorswim platform. I was there and in the executive team when we took the company public in 2007. I was there when we were bought by TD Ameritrade in 2009. I signed a 5-year lockup clause with TD Ameritrade. I worked for TD Ameritrade 2010 to 2015. After my 5-year lockup clause was up, I was contest. I left in 2015. We built TheoTrade in the time that I had to take off and launched it in January of 2016. So in the time at of course, TD Ameritrade, I watched order flow. That's my specialty. Okay. I know everything that you do in terms of trading. So you got to imagine 15 years of experience of watching retail client order flow. We know everything. Okay. What works, what doesn't, and everything that you hear here at TheoTrade comes from the experience of having watched, tens of billions of dollars of order flow every single day for the better part of 15 years. So there are, again, hidden cracks no one expected, but one man did. That man is Gianni Depoche. IonQ, 58%. He grabbed Hood by 43%, Dash up 33%. Okay. A-Lab up 61%, Palantir 36%. Every move seemed very, very random until you saw the freeze point. And that's exactly what Gianni is going to be discussing today. Okay. If you're always late, if you're not seeing the fracture lines, smart money. Okay. I always say the smart money definitely leaves a trail, but most traders have no idea where to look. All right. MACD, can't see this, can't touch it. There's a MACD, there's a Fibonacci, there's a Bollinger Band, there's stochastics, there's Elliott Wave. Okay. None of it can actually see this. The news, it's already priced in. Retail tools follow price, right? Okay. But price, it reacts too late. By the time you see price, it is over, people. To decode the freeze, we need a specialist. You're about to meet TheoTrade's hottest hand, the trader who finally made freeze points visible. The market hides cracks. Okay. Can you spot them? You ever watched a stock, okay, look really solid, only a moment later to just literally get shattered when you actually step in? Why does the market sometimes stay frozen in place, then suddenly erupt? Okay. And why traders are always caught off guard. Okay. When the ice finally breaks. And it's amazing because inevitably you are caught off guard when those moves happen, when that ice breaks. The market leaves clues. You see them. Okay. You watch the pressure build before the freeze point, gives it away. And how would your trading change if you could detect the fault lines before they break? Okay, imagine spotting cracks where institutional traders are already positioning. Okay, before the eruption hits the headlines. Gianni Depoche, okay, is going to do exactly that. He's going to reveal a proprietary, system that helps him detect explosive setups most traders, they don't know exist. Okay, each time you're going to see where the market cracked without warning. Okay, and how Gianni identified the freeze points first. Plus, he's going to give you, and I already alluded to this, he's going to give you two freeze points in motion. So these are going to be trades that are unfolding right now. So Gianni's actually going to show you what happened. Okay. And Gianni foresaw these moves. Bottom line, you're not going to look at price action quite the same way. This is actually really cool because, as I said, this is an area of trade that I am absolutely fascinated with. Also, Johnny's going to show you how he's opening up the system, okay, for maximum trade leverage and the chance at significant profits, okay, from very, very straightforward, very simple trades. All right. Founder, Freeze Points, Gianni DePoce, okay, breakout specialist at Theo Trade, 14 years of investing and trading experience. By the way, Gianni is our youngest instructor, which I don't think that's actually a negative. I actually look at that as a huge positive right now in a marketplace where we constantly need, fresh data, fresh information, somebody that's much more technologically inclined, somebody that's using things like AI right now. All of these embody Gianni. Exited financial service industry in January of 2020. As I said, myself, Gianni, similar backgrounds. We actually we have some friends in common that we kind of worked with and worked through for many years. And it was only really natural that we bring Gianni kind of into the fold here at Theo Trade. So Gianni is a systems builder, which is exactly what you're going to see today. He likes to call himself a retired farmer. This is what he does. So Gianni still resides in the outside of the Detroit area. He's not like in Detroit proper. Okay, lives out in the boonies. He farms. He farms. Actually, Gianni today is going to be joining us from none other than Italy. You would imagine with a gentleman by the name of Gianni DePoce that he might actually be Italian. He is. Also seen on Benzinga, okay, Yahoo Finance, Business Insider, and more. Look, here's the claim to fame over here. As I said, this is our hottest trader. Well, take a look, beating the S&P 500 by 400%, okay, since 2020. And as I start to introduce Gianni, like this, I think is the best way to introduce him. Because people always say, put up the returns or shut up. Here's the returns. Okay. This is specifically a screenshot taken from a rollover IRA. Obviously, we blurred out the account number in here. Okay. He's up 500, okay, and 90%, 589%, okay, 0.85 versus the S&P, okay, being up, all right, again, about 100%. So it's a 400%, okay, beat of the S&P 500, literally over the last about 4.5 years. We actually went back 2020. This is Gianni's equity curve in here. You can just see S&P 500 up 106%, Dow Jones up 99%. Okay, Bloomberg down. Wow, you got to try to do that one in the last couple of years. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Let's bring them on. Okay, Gianni DePoce. Okay, it is all yours, sir.
Hey Don, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. Really looking forward to discussing what we have in store today.
Fantastic. Have at it, man.
All right,
So
everyone.
yeah, I like giving you a little bit of a bio over there, but
Yeah,
with you
appreciate
kind
it.
of in the fold over here. So Johnny, you split time between ultimately Italy, US, so forth. Trading on the go, laptop trader.
Laptop trader, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and
just
actually over here I've been winging it with not always a second monitor. It's interesting doing it that way.
all right. Have at it. I won't tell you too much. And I'm guessing the farming is probably a little better there in the Detroit.
It has its benefits for sure, for sure. So it's also nighttime here, so I trade at night versus early in the day. So
Yeah, that's actually one of the positives over there of the time zone. So it's actually fantastic.
yeah,
So
get bright
have at
days to
it.
be
Let's get into it. Show us some freeze points.
All right, cool, Don. Well, welcome everybody. As Don said, my name is Gianni DePoce, and I'm really excited to be with you here today because trading is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I've been in this business now 14 years. Unlike Don, didn't really come from a trading background or a trading lineage, if you will. So I've kind of experienced a lot of different paths and strategies as I have tried to learn the ropes or as I have learned the ropes in this business. And over the 14-year journey that I've had, I've watched a lot of good traders struggle, using all the right setups. They were disciplined. They took their profession very seriously. And then I would just see basically the market come in from under them and rug pull them. And they were losing quite a bit of money on some of those trades. And over time, studying their trades, studying my own trades, studying the market, came to realize it wasn't really their fault. But what they were missing was this freeze point. They never saw this freeze point forming. So, we live in this age of information, and it's not always about the quantity of information, it's the quality of information. And the freeze points is the ultimate quality bit of information. So I try to help these traders with traditional analysis. You want to look at fundamentals, you want to look at balance sheets, cash flows, moving averages, lagging indicators, all that stuff that's going to tell you what happened after the fact. Okay, trading on headlines, good luck. The headlines are changing every other minute. We're one tweet away or one Truth Social post away from, bombs flying or tariffs being slapped on someone that said something that wasn't very nice. So we have to adjust our strategy and our mental model accordingly. And so in a way, it's kind of like staring at ice, because you never know when it's going to split, but when it does, the whole shape of that ice structure changes. And so what is that split? What is the structure of the ice that we need to look for? And it doesn't come with traditional analysis. Okay, so we're going to talk about that here today. I did put a name to it. I called it freeze points because it gets so cold, the pressure builds so much, and then it finally just cracks. This is not just another indicator. This isn't just an indicator you can slap on your Thinkorswim or slap on your Tasty Trade charts or TradingView or Metastock or whatever you're using. It's not a recycled system either. This is something that I have spent many, many hours, many, many long nights putting together. And it's a very clear, transparent way that you can see how the pressure is building in a stock, or really just any market for that matter, before a big move comes. And that's really what we're looking to capitalize on, is those big moves, because that's where the big money is. So in the race to discover these freeze points, it puts you at the front of the line, for these profits, because in this business, it's not so much what you buy, it's not so much why you buy it, it's when you buy it. Timing is everything, okay? And the freeze points pretty much freezes time, right? You know when time is basically stopping and it's time to act. It's like the market is very generous, gives you the setup, says, hey, this is your moment. This is your moment to get in, to act. Hesitation is death by 1,000 cuts in this business. So let me now show you how it works. This freeze point mechanism, this freeze point system. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today, and I'm so excited to share this with you. Let's start off by looking at this stock, okay? Let me know in chat, what do you see? This stock is Astera Labs. Believe it or not, this stock has actually been in the headlines quite a bit recently. Okay, so we're just looking at this chart here. It was doing nothing for a while. Let me know in chat what you see. Okay, I actually want you to study this chart and tell me what you are seeing on this right here. So I'm going to let you respond there for just a brief moment, because most traders, most people, they're going to see nothing because the stock was doing nothing, right? But if you have the freeze point knowledge and you can identify and pinpoint these ice bands, again, that moment in time where everything freezes, and it gives you that sliver time, that sliver moment to act and make a move and make the right decision, things start to break. The freeze point cracks, the ice band breaks, and the stock runs up. Astera Labs, okay, this was a stock that I bought early on in July, and it ran up 61% in just 22 days. Straight stock.
So I'll stop you right there for just 1 second, because I always like to kind of elaborate on. So it's 61%. So the actual stock moved 61%. Yes.
That's correct. Yeah. Actual
Okay.
stock.
So obviously I'm an options geek, and a 61% move in a stock could be hundreds of percent return, thousands of percent return, if you will, depending upon the spread type that you might select in the options marketplace, even with limited liquidity in some of the options and less liquid stuff like Astera Labs. But that's a huge move over here.
Yeah, and the catalyst for it to jump higher, was it came after a big announcement, big earnings stuff, but we were already in. Why? Because the freeze point cracked, the ice band broke. That's the signal that we wait for in order to take action. As you can see here, bought this myself, July 18th. Okay, sold it on August 6th, 61.4% gain. So if you didn't see the signal, if you weren't aware of the freeze points, if you weren't watching for those ice bands to snap, to crack, you were trading at a disadvantage. You were trading at a disadvantage, and it doesn't have to be that way. You have the choice, right? Again, age of information. What type of information do you want to be using to be making trading decisions? Freeze points is the one that's going to give you the ideal entry points. The fact is that the freeze can lurk beneath the price action. Here's another stock, IonQ, quantum computing. That's the hot sector now, right? But take a look at this chart. A lot of retail traders, they see noise. Your average person off the street, they're going to see, something that's doing nothing. They're going to see red and green candles, right? If they even know what the candlesticks are, that's fine. Not me. Not me. I see hidden signals in this, and it's because of the freeze points. Don't let it lull you to sleep. Sometimes when it gets cold, you just want to curl up in a ball, lay by the fire and fall asleep. No, you have to do the opposite. You have to be ready to take action, because as you can see here in IonQ, when it cracked that ice band, there's the ice band. You see it very clearly. Follow my laser pointer. It held below, held above on the lower bound, cracked above the ice band. And then what happened after? 59% gain in 104 days. IonQ, and this was actually, we got into this one. Let me jump ahead real quick. In April, what was going on in April? April 9th. If you remember, the stock market bottomed on April 7th. So we're talking about 2 days after one of the worst bouts of volatility that the stock market had to deal with in a couple of years. The freeze point signal was giving us the go-ahead to push forward, to buy a stock when everybody else was panicking, when the world was ending because of tariffs and Liberation Day and all this stuff. The knowledge sets you free, guys. The knowledge sets you free, and the knowledge resides in the ice bands and the stick and the freeze points breaking. When they break, that is when you act. So we got into IonQ, April 9th, sold it July 22nd, 59% gain, straight stock play on this one as well.
Yeah, I go crazy every single time you mention it's just a stock. I
Oh yeah.
start foaming at the mouth. Option. It's because moves like this are just they're huge. Take advantage on the option side of it.
Oh yeah.
Which is but again, that is it's a massive move in a incredibly short period of time. By the way, a few people in chat that are mentioning they were in this one with you through time. Continue, sir.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, that's good because and there's been plenty. Let's take a look at another one. DoorDash. I mean, is it going to go up or down? I mean, if I had to go off based on how much my wife orders DoorDash, I would say up, but we know that markets don't always move based on that, right? Stocks don't really follow logic, common sense, and reason, right? Sometimes you have stocks that have all the right headlines and they're not moving the right way. So you look at the price, right? What is DoorDash doing here? Once again, what are the retail traders seeing? Nothing. It's going sideways. It's asleep. Not us, not me. We see the freeze point starting to crack. It was a quiet crack, this one. It was a very subtle one. It wasn't very loud and announcing it, but sometimes the quietest signals, the quietest cracks can lead to the most powerful moves. So here on DoorDash, the freeze point cracked. We got in 33% ride to the upside in 76 days. Okay, even back in May, there really wasn't that much optimism about the state of the world. But the beauty about this freeze point methodology, this systemic approach to the market, okay, is that we can cut out all that other noise. We're focused on the freeze point. When it cracks, that's when we act. Time freezes. We get in, the stock makes the move. So as you can see here, May 23rd, unfortunately, I had to deal with a fractional share on this one, but was able to get out pretty much the same price on that residual.
That
The,
happens,
that,
man. That's
what's
order flow,
that?
baby. That's
That's the
order
order flow,
flow.
exactly.
I mean, that's order flow. So yeah, you can't necessarily pop. It just depends. They kind of break it up a little bit. I've actually had an order for, a few hundred shares. They broke it up, into ones and twos and fives. Incredible how many fills you get in here. For those of you that don't see this, is it's just showing you the cost basis per share, the proceeds. But he got out like, chunked out, meaning that it's not always at, if it's 100 shares, not always the same price, and the shares actually get chunked out of. But people were asking in chat here a moment ago too. They're like, do you show everything? This is everything. I mean, this is the trade blotter, meaning that this is his account statement
Yeah,
that we're showing. Yeah, everything here at TheoTrade, like I'm adamant about that. Win, lose, everything in between. Okay, crap happens, and you got to show it, and that's exactly what we're doing here.
exactly, exactly. So DoorDash, very nice trade, but it gets even better. Robinhood, hot stock, right? There's all sorts of headlines and commentary about what Robinhood is doing right, how they're changing the world in which we live. But for a period of time there, Robinhood was doing nothing. Robinhood was doing nothing. You're aware of Robinhood moving after the fact, but were you aware of what was coming? If you knew about the freeze point and how it was setting up within the ICE band, this stock, look at how it trades within that ICE band, follows it very closely, and then it cracks. It cracks. When it cracks, again, time freezes. We act on that freeze point. So as soon as the ICE band gives us the signal, we actually ended up scaling out of this trade. I thought the setup was so good. The freeze point signal on this one was actually extra powerful, extra cold, cold and calculated, if you will. So we actually scaled out of this one at half, 44% after 34 days, and then 66% after 51 days on Robinhood. So you can go ahead there and see. This is where we took those trades on that one, got the slightly higher exit price on the second trade for the 66% gain. But now Robinhood's all in the headlines. Oh, the crypto revolutionary, tokenize this, tokenize that. Guys, that means nothing. Don't waste your time learning or even indulging yourself in that information if you think it's going to make you a better trader, because it's not. Freeze points, ice bands, knowing when they crack, knowing when to act, that's what's going to make a difference in your bottom line.
That's an area that I actually completely agree with. Like in a marketplace that's like, everything's feeding you garbage from every single angle, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on like CNBC, whether it's like there's so much garbage coming at you. Like it's just noise at this point. Be quantitative, and again, be, well, in this case, no pun intended, be cold as ice and just execute. Because here's one, again, they're talking about it after the fact. I mean, literally, they're talking about it after the fact. And, some of you here at TheoTrade were in this a very long time with both me and with Gianni. Both of us actually traded this at separate times. But can I ask you a question on here? So I can see you actually exited at two different price points. I want to detail that. So July 1st, it looks like you got out, and then July 18th, you got out of more of it. Are you just kind of harvesting gains, protecting gains, or is there something more to it?
Well, that's part of it, but the thing with freeze points is that they're always forming. They're always forming, and so once you're aware of how they set up, sometimes they start to crack again, and it kind of gives you the signal that, hey, I should be riding this out a little bit longer, because that is where the big gains come from. And I do think that is really the ultimate edge in this business of trading, is being able to sit there when the market is telling you to freeze, for lack of a better word. I mean, sometimes you just have to wait, let things ride out. That's where the big gains come from. And so we had a couple of freeze point signals on Robinhood here that kept us in this trade longer, and it rewarded us for that.
So I don't mean to front run you at all. I'm also going to ask one more question because this is something that's always on my mind. Uh, I'm not always bearish, but I do like my volatility.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's going to come up, and it makes sense, like if the stuff that you're showing is recent, this is May and you had April. Okay,
Yeah.
so some of the trades you're making are rather recent. It makes sense that you're actually seeing breaks to the upside, like in the ice, right? Bring breaks to the upside. What's this going to look like as markets volatility starts to pick up? Are you viable, if you will, to short? Are you viable to the downside?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's another beautiful thing about the freeze points is that when they crack to the downside, it gives you a signal to go short too. So this isn't just a one trick pony type of trading style. No, when the freeze points break to the bottom, we treat them as just the inverse. Instead of buying, we sell. Whether that's options, whether now you have these inverse leveraged stock ETFs, single stock ETFs. It's amazing what they're coming up with nowadays for people to go short. So
Well, it's
yeah,
Wall
free
Street, man.
cracks to the downside, we go short.
It's Wall Street. They'll give you anything out there. All
Oh
right,
yeah.
continue, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay, very good. Here's another one. Core Scientific. This is a stock that is in the crypto ecosystem as well. But for a while there, people look at Ethereum, for example, or just recently, Ethereum, you go back to Q1, people are saying Ethereum's dead, it's over, the gas fees are too high. Again, I don't look and see that stuff as important for making decisions in my own trading. I just hear it. I'm just like you, right? I hear this stuff being talked about on Twitter, on CNBC, Fox Business, Bloomberg, whatever, but I'm not actually acting on that information. And so you had a period of time here where Core Scientific, a big crypto stock, was doing absolutely nothing. 99 out of 100 traders are not seeing what I'm seeing on this stock. And so it's one of those beautiful things where once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And I love teaching people this stuff because it opens up a whole new, beautiful world to them filled with opportunity. It changes their entire mindset and their perception of how markets work. And as you can see here, Core Scientific, we see yet another ice band, yet another ice band. Look at how it was range. It was in this, within the band, within the ice band, cracked, ripped to the upside. You know the deal. I'm sure you understand the story by now. 42% in 30 days. 42% in 30 days. This big green candlestick here. This is where we booked gains on this stock. Yeah, went up a little bit higher afterward, but then gapped down. That's okay. I can absolutely live with that. This is what we did at June 3rd to June 27th. Okay. Very nice move there in Core Scientific, 42% gain.
Yeah, that one's I don't want to say your timing is decent in there, but obviously this is part of the proprietary system you're using over there, but
Oh yeah.
your timing is pretty ridiculous in there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
look,
again, it's
at
just the freeze point. You just
not
follow it. Yeah.
42%, I'm out of the contest. I would take that and run as well.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the question that always looms, and I know we don't have time to get into it necessarily today, but you guys realize, and like Robinhood, he actually got out in chunks because there's still some
Yeah.
potential in there. Here, he chunked out all at once. Obviously, there's a lot more going on because I was just chatting with somebody in the chat over here. There's a lot more going on beneath this setup than just showing you, like, a box in here, and what actually goes into it is pretty extensive. But this is a perfect example where, in the previous example, where he's actually kind of chunking out of it. In this particular example, he whacked all 500 shares at once. Continue, sir.
There is a lot that goes into it, but at the end of the day, this freeze point, it cracks. When it cracks, we act. That's really what it comes down to. And you can see it here again. We're talking quantum stocks, so it wasn't just IonQ, not just a one-trick pony. Arctic Quantum. Okay, I'm not even going to get into this story. Very interesting stock on this one, though. We're going to have to rethink the way we think and view computers. And this is one of those stocks that I think that will play a big role in that. But what was it doing here? End of May into June, even into the early part of July, not much. Snooze fest. I saw what others missed. We had that freeze point setup. And what happened? It cracked. We had another crack in the ice bands. When the ice bands crack, I act. It's really that simple. You can see how we bounced off the lower ice bands. We even bounced off the upper ice bands here a couple times. 1, 2, 3 times. You broke it on the fourth time. We moved, and we were rewarded with a 103% gain in just 45 days. And this was another one. Don nailed it right at the high. Nailed it right at the high. So the freeze point actually gives us a lot of information. A lot of information. It's not even just when to buy the stock, but it gives you a clue on when it might be time to dip out as well. So, you were saying a lot goes into it. That is part of the equation as well.
All right, I can see you actually chunked out of this one as well as 103% though in a 45-day window is incredible. I mean, and again, the fact of the matter is, people always ask, Gianni is trading stock. Why isn't he trading options in here? Because when you're trading options, you got to trade mass liquidity, just mass liquidity.
Yeah.
He's actually taking some shots in here and stuff that's a little bit off the beaten path, but there's returns obviously here. And when you got 103% return, or 40 some odd percent return, or 33% return in a couple of days, okay, there's nothing to argue about. Even if he's going to trade something that's not necessarily readily optionable, there's nothing to argue about. Some of the stuff he is trading is optionable, like Robinhood. But you come off here, you're off the beaten path a little bit, and you can see shares are going to work too. And the amount of capital you have in there is not necessarily critical. We're not talking about high dollar value stocks over here, but 103% return on there and a gain in there is still 103%. I mean, there's not too many people hitting this stuff without options. That's kind of the shocking part. If you are trading options, some of these gains are times 10.
Sure. Well, I'm sure you'll appreciate this order flow, what the market makers did to me on this one, Don.
Good, man. It's all good.
Five shares. 5 shares I
Oh
sold.
yeah, so that's in like giant internalization engine, kind of Bruce breaks it up a little bit, do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. But they're getting you out all at the same price, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So price is price. Who cares? 42.02 filled. I would do that all day long. It's just trading against computers today. I like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
that's the way it rolls. So, anyways, I'm sure you're asking at this point, why do these freeze points keep on leading me to money? Okay. I want you to start seeing this as well, because I think that it can change your life. I think that it can change the way that you relate to the market. There's so many people out there that take a negative perspective on just your prospects as a trader and what's possible, what's feasible in this market. But been doing this a long time, guys. Been doing this a long time, and these freeze points have what caused me to get to where I'm at. I've been here in Italy now for a few weeks. Going to be here for a few more weeks. Got the family with me. It does help me get that freedom of mobility to live and do what I want. So it's all about these freeze points and keeping it cool in the market. Now, you're probably also wondering, where am I finding these stocks? Where am I finding these setups? Okay. Well, I want to take a look here with you and spend a little bit of time diving deeper into a special trinity of super hot sectors in this market. Okay. Start off with number one, artificial intelligence. Now, when it comes to this sector, right? You go back a few weeks ago, it was, AGI is going to replace us all. AGI means artificial general intelligence. The computer is going to replace us all. We're all going to be worthless. And I guess, learning to code, that wasn't good enough anymore. You were told to learn to code. On Tuesday, by Thursday, AI came in and changed all of that. So I guess we're going to have to learn to farm. And I'll help you out with that too. But the point I'm making is that, you have winners and losers in the AI space as well. A lot of these AI companies are not going to make it. Let's just call it like it is. There's going to be winners, and they're going to change the way that we live our lives on a daily basis. No doubt about it. But what the freeze points does, what the freeze point system does for you and me and anyone that's trading with this, is give you a systemic approach to choose which stocks are going to move, which stocks are going to be the winners in the AI revolution. Okay. So it does help you stay, again, cool, calm, and collected. I'm not here worried about the feuds between Sam Altman and Elon Musk and who's better and who's, smarter according to AI. No, all I have to do is rely on the freeze points to tell me which of these AI names is going to be the leader.
Okay, but it's
Guys, I had
definitely
facts.
Elon.
I jumped in. What's that?
Definitely Elon. It's definitely Elon.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you're mentioning like AI over here, and we're mentioning, the AI, revolution and so forth. But there's a lot of people probably sitting, watching this right now thinking this is a boom and that bust is actually going to be even more
Sure.
profitable. I'm actually one of those. And I don't
Yeah.
mind saying that. Like I look at this and I'm like, who's really profiting from this outside of Nvidia that's actually selling,
Yeah.
physical,
Not a lot of people.
GPU, right?
Yeah.
Where you have like, Meta turning around and be like, yeah, we just hired $1 billion of the people, but we're going to lay a couple off immediately, like
Yeah.
following that. So yeah, the boom with booms come busts, and these freeze points are going to catch exactly that.
The freeze points also protect you during the bust. That's what's also so very important. So when there is the boom, I am a pro boom guy. Let's get into those booms. The freeze points really shove it onto your radar. Hey, this is where the boom's happening. But inevitably, when it does go bust, it has a protection mechanism built into it as well. So, just like Don was asking, when you get the breaks to the downside, can you go short? 100%, 100%. So it's not just AI in this special trinity of super hot sectors. Nuclear, nuclear. That's been another big market theme. These data centers that all of the AI companies are looking to build, they need power, they need electricity. Have you seen the surge, pun intended, for power demand over the last several months? It's been tremendous. And some of these stocks that are in the electricity game, tied to AI, tied to nuclear specifically, because that's really the best way that we can produce all this power, have been going insane. Now, some of these companies, a little bit sketchy, not even really building the products that they're saying they're doing. That's fine. Why? Because the freeze point system is what's telling us when to get in. Even if people think that this company is going to come out with something fantastic and they fail to deliver, you can still capitalize on that perception of the move thanks to freeze points. So, nuclear, it's a big thing that's changing in this world. We were sour on it for decades, and now it seems like in the last 3 years, the whole perception has shifted on that, and you've seen it really reflected in the marketplace lately.
Yeah, as long as it's like, not in California, like Google's happy putting it
Yeah,
somewhere
right.
else. But these
Right.
actually the smaller nuclear reactors are going to be absolutely huge. But it's a stepping point. It's a stepping point, obviously, to fusion, and that's also going to be at the forefront of a lot of this.
Yeah, well, you want this futuristic technological world, and you're going to need that power. So again, the freeze points, they're going to give you the signal on which ones are going to be the big winners in that duel, in that game. All right, third and final one, the autonomous revolution. Okay, I don't know about you, but when I see some of these robots doing some of these the things that they're doing, I saw one like even like doing a sparring match with like some kid the other day, a video online. It kind of gives me the chills. We've seen various forms of this autonomous revolution, robots in factories, humanless projects, surgical machines. Some of the stuff, hey, I'm not gonna lie, I'd rather have a robot operate on me if I needed some surgery. But the fact of the matter is that Freeze Points tells you which of these stocks in this big theme that is bringing us to the future, right? So we see the big picture, we see what's going on, but that doesn't mean that every stock that's related to these sectors is going to be your golden ticket. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Freeze Points is what keeps you cool in the heated market environment, keeping you in the strongest names, the ones that are actually making the difference and that will ultimately impact and improve our society. So now I want to share with you, Don mentioned I have a couple of freeze point setups that are happening right now. So let's go ahead and talk about them because I want you to see this stuff starting to move in action. So let's get into it. Here we have a stock, Trip.com. Ticker symbol is TCOM, TCOM. It's actually a Chinese stock. And as you can see here, we're going all the way back to May. What's going on here, guys? Not much. Do you see anything happening right here, Don? I don't really see much. Just
This
a stock
this
that's
is
just chopping
not
around.
exciting. Not exciting.
Not very exciting. Not very exciting. For a volatility guy, this probably gives you nightmares. But the good news is that we're starting to see a freeze point crack on this name. Starting to see a freeze point crack on this name, which tells me that a big move's coming. A big move's coming. I don't know if you've been paying much attention to what's been going on in China lately. We get a lot of bad news here in the US. But again, whether it has to do with a company or a stock or even a country, freeze points cuts through all the noise. Okay. Gives you that moment in time where it stops, gives you the moment to act. You jump in. The ice band broke on this one, guys. Where's it going to take us? Where's it going to take us? We shall see. I do have an idea of where it's going to take us, but I do want you to know that this is one of those ice bands that is cracking in this market actually today. Today. Amazing when you see what's going on. Here's another one. Protagonist Therapeutics. Ticker symbol on this one is PTGX. Here's another one that has been doing nothing since mid-June. Snooze Fest. What are we looking at here? You probably don't see much. Well, I see something. I see something very important. And maybe by now you're starting to be interested in what there is lying here beneath the ice. Beneath the ice. Well, beneath the ice, we're starting to see a freeze point crack that is imminent on this name. Keep this one on your radar, guys. You break above that upper blue band, the upper blue ice band on this name, PTGX, we'll be looking for a big move. So this is another one that I want you to come away from today watching very closely. So what about recently? I showed you some stocks that I booked some gains on in July, early August. But what about just in the last week? What about just in the last week? There's this stock out there called Liquidia. I could, try and come up with some fancy, clever pun on how the liquid turns, frozen or whatever. But let's just put that aside. This is what I saw on the stock. Okay, you got the freeze point setup. Going sideways. You got it going there, and we got the crack in early August. This is just a couple weeks ago. But you can see how you were nice and narrow within the ice band, broke above it, a little bit of a hesitation, and then you ripped 35% in 13 days. Okay. So this was just last week, actually earlier this week. I'm losing track of the days here. This was on Monday. Got out of this one, 35% gain in 13 days when it comes to Liquidia Corporation.
And this is another one that literally just happened, right? So this is one that's not only on the forefront. This is one that literally just cracked in the last couple of days. And we can discuss, and we will here in just a few minutes. Some of the positioning that you can actually use in terms of options over here. Look, what you have just seen, it's not luck. I mean, again, several of these positions, they're all recent. Several of them are also right on the forefront of what's going on in the marketplace right now. It was pressure, but it was pressure flagged before it broke. These weren't guesses. They were freeze points detected before these markets actually erupted. So again, you can keep trading blind, where you step at the front of the line with Gianni's signature service, built upon these incredible freeze point setups and laser focus on a trinity of explosive sectors. So look, people, they don't lose because you're wrong, right? Most of the people kind of lose out because they were too late. You saw the breakout, of course, after, people were asking me about price action here in the chart, and this is not so based on what's going on in the past. I mean, in this marketplace, most of the time people are driving 100 miles an hour looking through the rear view mirror. Again, that's after the fact. When the move erupts, it's already too late. Okay. What if you could actually see the cracks before it formed, before the market actually erupted, not after the move? Okay. Not from lagging tools, but from freeze points as they actually build in real time. Real member, real results. In fact, some of those members are actually live right now inside of our chat room. I'm taking your trades live and I'm seeing them outperform, whether the market is up or down. That comes from Jeff. This one actually comes from Eddie G. I cannot emphasize enough how incredible your recommendations have been for me. I don't get to join in your live sessions on a regular basis, but I try to catch up on your sessions after hours. Thanks for incredible recommendations and analysis. Again, Eddie G. Right here, beating the S&P, okay, by over 400%. I'm reiterating this from a little bit earlier, okay? Just roll over IRA up 589% over the last 4.5 years. Introducing Trinity Trade Alerts with none other than Gianni DePoce. This is everything included, of course, with these Trinity Trade Alerts. So on demand, the Trinity Trade Masterclass with Gianni. Now, this is something that's actually been pre-recorded. It is ready to go. It's in the can. Literally, as you enroll today, you can get through the entire Trinity Masterclass. I'm actually going to kind of take you through a little bit more of that here in just a moment. I'll have Gianni kind of go back and forth with you in a moment, discussing a little bit about the Trinity Masterclass to really learn, okay, what these freeze points are about. And the Trinity Masterclass explains exactly that. We're not going to leave you completely in the dark on here. The next, and what most people are actually looking for in this Trinity service, okay, and that is the Trinity Trade Alerts. Okay, there's over 52 alerts coming in next year, so we're doing about approximately one a week. And don't hold me to that, because sometimes, you know, like Gianni, he'll go dark for like 10 days and all of a sudden, boom, 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 3 different alerts out there. Okay, this is actually email push notification out there. We are, again, we are here to notify you. You don't have to panic, you know, into some of these trades. Okay. Again, when the ice breaks, you're going to be notified. Then we have the Trinity Trade coaching calls. There's actually 2 coaching calls a week, and everybody asks, and again, I'm going to reiterate this in a minute. Everybody asks, okay, with 2 coaching calls a week, they're lasting, you know, 30, 35, even 40 minutes, where you're actually kind of, you know, talking back and forth. Gianni's actually explaining positions he's in, positions he's about to get in. Again, I'll give you more insight to this in just a moment. However, all of that is recorded, and that's exactly what, you know, that little quote here a moment ago was actually alluding to from Eddie G. He doesn't get to listen to it live, but he definitely gets to listen to it, you know, again, recorded. And you can listen to Gianni at 2 times the speed. He sounds like a chipmunk. It is awesome. But this is literally 2 updates every single week. He's doing more updates than he is trades, just to give you, you know, that freedom to understand exactly, okay, the moves that are being made. Now, Trinity Trade Watch List, updated as the market, you know, changes. This is basically a, you know, kind of a real-time scope of what Gianni is actually watching at any given point in time. You know, there could be 20, 30 different products. They're like, all right, all of these are possibilities of setups. What's actually going to work? So it's what's in play at any given point in time. That's going to be Gianni's watch list. Now, the next question that everybody always asks as well, the portfolio. Okay. Everything that we do here at TheoTrade, okay, we trade capital. These are, you know, yes, we give you alerts. We trade the alerts. Okay. We trade all of the alerts. I do not allow anybody to send anything to clientele that they are not skin in the game, money on the line in. That is critically important. We have a real money, $100,000 Trinity Trade portfolio, tracked and managed for the long term. Quarterly forecasts, strategic quarterly coaching event. So not only are we giving, again, with this, the masterclass, the trade alerts, okay? He's on a call twice a week with you. Then on a quarterly basis, just a forecast, like what do markets overall feel like? This is a little bit more of an extensive, you know, session than just the coaching calls. Then, okay, if that's not enough, there's weekly video updates. This is actually where he's actually going through, Johnny's literally going through all the calls that he's made throughout the course of that week, looking back, okay, on what he has done, looking back on positions, all right, that he's got on, managing the risk in them, but more importantly and more appropriately, what's actually forthcoming. So you know you're not surprised by a couple of symbols that just pop up out of the blue. Predominantly, he's going to give you a heads up. Hey, we're looking at XYZ and we're thinking of executing in here if price hits Y. And that's predominantly how he does it. All right. Now, this is brand new. Okay. This is new. It's double the Trinity Lotto trades. Okay. There's going to be, again, a very small slice of Trinity profits deployed, okay, into high upside moonshot plays. So imagine, if you will, you just saw a move where stocks were up 30%, 40%. There's even one that was 103%. Okay. He's actually going to take wild and woolly shots with some of the profitability from the other okay, the kind of the mainstay of the portfolio with some of that, is actually going to take some shots with it. Okay. In addition to that, now there's a super lotto monthly option alerts where this is going to be very, very low risk. Okay. Super high reward. Okay. They're low risk. And they're like, you're like, does that say low probability? It is. But we're talking like, what's often termed like 10 baggers, trades that, you risk a buck and you might be able to make 10, 15, 20 on. Okay. This is something new. And this is added because, well, all right. I don't know about you guys, but I like taking those shots, especially you're booking profits elsewhere. You actually take a small amount of the profitability, okay, and take moonshots with it. By the way, this is why I've been kind of involved in here because that is near and dear to my heart. I absolutely like love taking moonshots. I like low probability, like super high payout trades. People are bothered by that sometimes. Like, no, you don't understand. Okay, some of the stuff is pretty monotonous. Like, I want to take shots because how do you make an account like a $10,000 account? How do you flip that around, make it a $20,000, $30,000 account without taking some big moonshots? Okay, you got to take some moonshots, and this is exactly the right way to think about that. If you go to theotrade.com/Trinity, I'm actually going to take you to that page right now. We'll drop the links inside of the chat room. It's theotrade.com/Trinity, and actually pop the link in here. Okay, theotrade.com/Trinity. As you actually scroll to the bottom of this particular page. Okay. First of all, I'll cover this more in detail. There's a 30-day money back guarantee. And I continually say this, there's no stipulations to the money guarantee, right? We want you to be happy in anything that you do here at TheoTrade. 30-day money back guarantee. Now, let's scroll down to the bottom of the page. Only selection is you can do a single payment of basically $2,000 for the year, or you can actually break it into multiple payments, $1,000 at a pop. So very, very straightforward. A couple other things on this enrollment form that I'm adamant about. Put a viable email address and a viable phone number. The reason you want viable email and phone number, this is how we contact you with the trade alerts. And I can't stress that enough because I get it. Like, people get a lot of email and so forth. And okay, just make sure it's a viable email address, one that, you're comfortable getting the trade alerts. If something happened and you wanted to change the email down the road, you absolutely can. You can change your email address down the road. That's okay. But when we get you set up, we want you to have that viable email address so that you get those alerts immediately. They're getting to you. Okay. Anyway, we'll post those links. Let's kind of continue on. So, Johnny, I'm actually going to bring you in this a little bit over here. Okay. As we start kind of roll through here in the master class. So this master class obviously is pre-recorded. What do you run? About 3.5 hours of this class?
Yeah, it's pretty close to about 3 hours. Yeah. Yeah. 2.5, 3 hours.
That's a good size. So you can probably also condense that down a little bit, running it a little bit faster. So tell me your private blueprint to outsized gains, X-ray vision for the markets. And what does that actually look like?
Well, it's a step-by-step process. I mean, you want to know and understand how the ICE bands are constructed. You want to know how and why we have those exit points that come from those ICE bands. That's where the rubber hits the road, is in the master class. You're going to discover all that in there.
All right, fantastic. And say again, like you don't see price action quite the same way. There's again, as I was saying a moment ago, there's a lot more to this kind of than meets the eye. It's a couple lines in the chart over here. You're going to learn exactly what that actually entails in just a moment. Again, you're not going to see price action quite the same way. The master class, in my opinion, is worth the $2,000 alone. And I'm a big advocate of the classes because this is, and what Gianni is doing is a proprietary system. And there's, all kinds of different proprietary systems, but this is allowing you actually to see exactly what, composes that entire proprietary system. That's, it's critically important in, sorry, I'm having a tech issue over here. We're good. We're good. It's critically important because in a proprietary system, I think it's still important to kind of, see what is literally behind the curtain. And as I said, somebody was like, "Oh, it looks like Darvis Box. Oh, it looks like this. Oh, it looks like that." But it's not singling out price action quite the same. It's again, there are quantum differentials between what a lot of people are thinking is a classical representation of technical analysis and what Gianni is doing. And you'll see that actually in the Trinity Masterclass here. I think that's important. I wanted to spend a minute on this. By the way, this one again, I reiterate, the masterclass, okay, it's ready to go. It's ready to go. This was recorded not too long ago. We like to kind of take the recording, clean it up a little bit. Total runtime, you guys can actually do variable speed playback. But as I said to you, I'm a big proponent of this. Because I want people to see what's kind of behind the curtain. I don't want you to ever feel like, why am I going into this? What am I doing over here? Why am I trading, blind over here? And you shouldn't. You should never receive alerts from anything or anybody without actually fully understanding what's in there. And again, some people just want to eat the sausage. I'm a person that likes to see what's in the sausage, which for some people, they're like, ooh, you don't want to see how the sausage is made. The hell with that, I do. Okay, I'm not eating a sausage unless I know how it's made. It still doesn't bother me. Look, real members, real results. This actually comes from Shirley, Shirley is definitely in the room because Shirley was commenting a little bit. She was like, I was in that trade. Okay, says, hi, Gianni. I spent the weekend looking at my accounts that I trade. I'm so pleased with the results I've received. I would like to see my accounts double in 2025, if not more, and I believe it's possible. That comes from Shirley. So thank you, Shirley. I know you're in the chat room because we were just chatting back and forth a moment ago. Next, weekly trade alerts. So the weekly trade alerts, these are at the core of what Gianni does inside of Trinity. High conviction trades, and this is all handpicked. This is not behind the mirrors over here. It's all handpicked. Okay, freeze point power opportunities built on these kind of zones that can erupt into double and triple digit moves. Okay, and it's pure signal, zero noise. Again, it's very, very clear, very, very actionable. Where Gianni, when you actually put out an alert, what do you include inside of your alert?
Well, above all, you're going to get the freeze point. You're going to know what that freeze point action point is. You're going to see what the ice band, how that's setting up, and then also where you want to book profits, where you want to protect yourself in case the trade doesn't go wrong. Because not every trade is going to do exactly what you think. This is the real world stuff. And then, of course, a description of why we're taking that trade, so you understand. I do want you to understand, like you said, how the sausage is made on all these trades.
Yeah, by the way, I actually appreciate somebody said, I understand Gianni can tell us what to do, but can you teach us how to do it ourselves in the Trinity in the master class? And the answer is absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly, back up for a second because I like that comment in there and comment or question. The master class is designed so that you can do exactly what he does. Again, somebody's, well, but I don't need the trade alerts then. But you know what? For the first year, rather, why don't you hold hands? Hold hands for the first year. After that, if you've got it down, if you're comfortable, okay, if you're just as viable at doing this as Gianni is, have at it. Have at it. I mean, everybody, wants to be able to fish for themselves, and I agree with that. Why do we do trade alerts? Okay, because people want their hands held through this. It's a volatile marketplace. Even though it's been to the upside, it's still a volatile marketplace. Things can change on a dime over here. And I think, somebody that's had the experience that Gianni has had on a system that he built, okay, is a viable reason to actually continue with those trade alerts. And that's exactly why we do it. It's, one of the most highly requested aspects here at TheoTrade is, look, it's a great system. Give me the alerts. Give me the alerts with it. And we're doing exactly that. And that's critically important. All right, weekly coaching sessions. So, well, you tell me, what do you do? It's trader by your side. Okay, it's like sitting, at your desk with you a little bit. You're doing twice a week. I know you get a couple of people in there, every single time that just ask questions. What's really included in this? Twice a week's a lot, man.
Yeah, we spend about an hour total live per week. Each session works out to about 30 minutes each. But that is the place for questions. I want people to bring questions to these live sessions where we look at just what's going on in the overall market, which freeze points are setting up that we're keeping an eye on, and what's happening in the portfolio currently, what type of progress is being made in the positions that we're already in. Should we adjust our stops? Should we change our price targets? Because like I said, there's always new freeze points developing in the market. And so this isn't just a model where we just set it and forget it. It's very dynamic. The more information that comes in from the market, the more the better of a decision we're able to make, basically. So the more information comes in, the model changes, the freeze points evolve, we get new projections, and ultimately I'm always there to communicate that in the live session. So I think it's the most constructive time that we spend together, aside from the masterclass, obviously, but even then, repeating and reviewing on a regular basis the core components, the core parts of what we cover in the masterclass, because repetition is the foundation of learning.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to read another one of these from Dawn, but before I do that, like, I actually appreciate, so we're broadcasting this into multiple rooms. And for those of you, you're not in like the main TheoTrade room, but the main TheoTrade room, I'm just going to read some quotes directly out of here. I mean, these are literally like, 1206, whatever, which again, I'm in Pacific time, but Gianni's an excellent teacher. I'm learning a skill, just need to execute, not hesitate. I've done well when I follow the plan. Walter Gianni is very good. He always comes up with some good ideas. Haven't calculated my turns working with him, but I think it's at least 20% since October. I mean, these are damn good numbers. And again, this is, people are relatively new to this. Gianni's the real deal. Background strategy, actionable pointers and tactics. Best stock advice I've ever gotten, 30% since January. Like, again, I'm just scrolling through chat over here. Here's Shirley, who actually I was mentioning a moment ago. Okay, Trinity trades anywhere from 14% to 71%, even with the pullback this week. Okay, I like this. If you've missed the boat, by the way, I'm live right now. I'm like up to here. Don't put anything naughty in the chat room right now. No naughty in the chat room. That'd probably be me. But no, I don't. Again, I got to tell you, no matter how many sessions I've done, I've never had anybody make that many positive comments at any one time, no matter which instructor we've had in here. And we've got a lot of them. So again, I'll read this one too from Dawn. I cannot tell you how my trading has improved now that I'm trading with Gianni and learning his techniques. My portfolio is doing so well. He's extremely intelligent about the market, along with giving his ideas. He also teaches you how to look for good charts and coaches you through the process. I cannot be happier. Thank you, Gianni. It's awesome. I appreciate that, Dawn. So next in the docket over here, the watch list. So are you just updating? I mean, I'm assuming you're just updating your watch list for like that what's ever in play, right? So you start with a list of 100, kind of shake through a couple things before you know it, you're down. I know it says 65, but I'll be honest, I don't look at 65 different things. I probably only look at 20 or 30 different things, okay, that I really have my eye on, probably 10 of them. At any given point, like when I'm shopping trades, I usually have my eye on about 10 different things. Is that any different for you?
Well, yeah, I mean the it's 65 handpicked winners, like it says there on the slide, but that number changes when the market is doing what we like. That list grows, but basically, there's thousands of stocks out there, and I think it's a really good way to save time not looking at garbage. And I think that's really the value in the watch list. I mean, I'd say over 90% of the ideas that I end up sharing, the setups of the freeze points and the ice bands and all that kind of stuff comes from the watch list itself. So I update this, at least 2 to 3 times a week, and I communicate them to members on a regular basis. And I tell them, hey, if you want to be doing homework on your own, if you want to be learning and studying, go to the watch list, because once you do the masterclass, once you've been through a few trades, you're going to start to see those freeze points and those ice bands on the watch list. So it's a really, really valuable resource.
All right, fantastic. Next in the docket over here. This is one where, Johnny was actually surprised when he first came to TheoTrade. I'm like, oh no, I insist. So everybody that comes to TheoTrade, like when you're a trader, it's one thing when you're a trader and you're trading kind of, behind your screen or whatever, and you're very cozy and no one can see your little balances, and there's another when you got to show your freaking P&L on the day, every damn day, win, lose, or draw, I don't care. Like everybody shows everything here. We go kind of no holds barred on that particular front. Look, there's days where things get a little wild, and they're not always great. It's not always rosy. Okay. That if you've traded, like, that you look at your own accounts. Okay. Look, everything is real and it's not always spectacular. But at the same time, it's total transparency. Okay. Is everything. Total transparency. Every win, every loss. Okay. Every move. Like, it's, as I don't like to say laid bare. Okay. I don't like that. It's the full Monty. That's it. You got to do it. So you're going to learn by watching them trade live. All right. Quarterly forecasting huddle. Okay. This is everything from, I mean, just looking out into the future, what that quarter is actually going to hold. This is going to be an interesting quarter coming up as we turn the corner into September. I mean, economy could be slowing down, inflation could be picking up. Don't worry, they're going to cut interest rates with inflation picking up and the economy slowing down. Dogs and cats living together. The whole interest rate like discussion, it blows my mind. It literally blows my mind right now. So next on that front, but this is one where kind of curious. Do you know when your next quarterly huddle's coming
Yeah,
up?
yeah, it's going to be September 24th, the
Cool.
Wednesday, at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Is
And
this the
I
kind of
do, I
grab?
do got to
Yeah.
share something, a moment on this, because I think aside from the twice per week live sessions and of course sending out the trade ideas, this is my favorite part of what I do with members. And what we do is like a miniature masterclass as well. So yeah, you have the original masterclass, but we actually kind of go through all of that at a 2x or 3x pace and then do the quarterly forecast. So I mean, gosh, I mean, you can go back and see what we did in the previous quarterly forecast. I mean, Q1, we were doing our Q2 forecast in March. We said, hey, the market's going to bottom early in Q2, and we're looking for a face ripping rally to the upside. Um, in the most recent one, we said, stocks are going to creep back higher, get ready for some volatility to creep into the picture. But we also said, be on the lookout for interest rates to come down and for oil prices to go down in the second or the third quarter as well. And we've kind of been in that world as well. So once you go through the masterclass, you'll be able to start putting two and two together as to how we reach these types of forecasts and outlooks and conclusions. But yeah, this is probably one of my favorite things to do with everyone. I really love it.
Yeah, you know what? Those are sessions I kind of dig too. I'm interested in, like, because you're a little bit more, you know, economics and understand that background. I'm kind of interested in that. That's why I was actually asking exactly when that quarterly call is actually coming up over here. By the way, I'm gonna try to answer two questions in here. Um, Freeze points is absolutely part of Trinity.
Yep.
Okay, so freeze points is part of Trinity. It's actually really what it's based on. The other thing is somebody said simple, directional trades or multi-legged monsters. So Gianni is our, okay, straightforward stock, okay, or like single option kind of shooter. He's a very, very different animal, right? So
I'm different.
again, yeah, he's different. So one of the things, like, it kind of freaked me out actually when you came on, because I'm like, he's going to trade stuff that's less liquid. But if you're just trading the stock, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
again, I'm an options geek, and I did a trade today. I did a trade today in a slightly less liquid optionable marketplace, and we moved the market today. We moved the market. We did 6,000 contracts and moved the market today. And the stuff that you're doing, though, these markets can handle it because he's predominantly trading stock. He will do some option trades, but where he does the option trades, it's actually going to be again a little bit more liquid in there. All
Right.
right, so weekly strategy calls. This is wild. You do weekly private video updates, but the strategy calls, again, this is just updating. How long are your weekly videos?
They're about 10 minutes long, and I do them on Fridays for a really good reason. Fridays are a very important day of the week for me, especially within this freeze point ice band Trinity trade system that we got going on here. So I love Fridays. It's my favorite day to look at the markets, and so that's why I have this weekly recap video, just so we're basically able to take score of what happened in the week. that just passed and what we're looking to happen in the week going forward.
Yep. All right. Then we actually have the Super Lotto monthly trade alerts. So, and again, I'll just clarify this and make it very, very easy. Okay. This is it's a really, like, it's kind of a long shot trade, you know, perfect storm opportunities in here, but on top of it, there's the double the Trinity Lotto trades. So if it wasn't enough, he's actually got a moonshot, which is what you're looking at over here is it's a very low probability trade with these incredible payouts. And this is predominantly done with options. And this is where, this is where, like, Gianni will actually bounce a couple ideas off me, a couple of ideas off of Brandon Chapman. Like, what's the best options trade with the highest payout if, if this stock, for instance, hit 75? And we'll give it to him. Like, literally, like, what's the best strategy for this if the stock hits 75? I promise that won't be a multi-legged monster. Okay. But it can definitely be an options trade, because the options trade is the only way you're going to actually get a moonshot out there. Again, I cannot emphasize enough how incredible recommendations have been for me. Live sessions at regular basis. Okay, but thanks for your incredible recommendations and analysis. Again, that's Eddie G. So as we do with every program here at Theo Trade, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. I always throw this out here too. There's absolutely no stipulations. There's none. Like, there doesn't need to be a stipulation. Like, look, we want people that want to be here. Okay. We want people that are comfortable with, trading with Gianni. There's no excuses, no questions. Well, you don't even have to call us. We don't do that. This is not like getting out of a gym membership. Give me blood to get out of the gym membership. Just email us. Okay. It's only $2,000. It's okay. We're pretty sizable firm these days, and we're very comfortable, doing a 30-day money back guarantee with no questions asked in there. It's really important to us. So I hope that's comfortable for everybody in there. Again, what you get is everything we just went through: the master class, 52 trade alerts on a yearly basis, the coaching calls, which is twice a week, the Trinity Trade watch list, which is literally late breaking, like stuff that he's actually about to trade. Obviously, a real money trade portfolio. You get to see the portfolio, everything that's in it, every move that he's going to make. Quarterly forecasts, which obviously are coming up. The next one, September 24th. Weekly video updates, which is about a 10-minute video updating you on all the position moves. Okay. The Trinity Lotto trades and the Super Lotto trades. These are option trades with a very low probability, incredibly, incredibly high payout. That's all part of it. Again, it's theotrade.com/Trinity. Again, spent the weekend looking at my accounts. This one comes from Shirley. We already went through that one. Onward. Again, the extra bonus over here, and it's a little bit of a kicker. There's unlimited email mentoring. And we do this now with our programs. Is if you need personalized guidance, if you have a question pertaining to an option trade, if you have a question, pertaining to anything, in terms of a setup over here, shoot an email. Johnny's actually going to put you in a priority email, okay, where ultimately he's going to be answering your emails first. Again, 50 spots are available today. Take action now. Remember, Gianni is beating the S&P by 500, okay, by over 400%, up 589%, okay, over the last 4.5 years. All right, a couple questions answered in here. Make sure everybody's comfortable. You don't need a huge piece of technology. The funny thing is, you don't even need a laptop anymore. Everything that he does can be done off of a mobile device. In fact, Gianni, you more than any of the other traders here, if you're trading stock, you don't even have to have a laptop. I mean, you're trading like.
Oh no, I trade stocks on my phone. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I trade all the option trades on my phone too. By the way, I love my iPad too. Like, I think it's kind of cool trading off an iPad. The next thing, it's not a membership. We don't auto renew or auto bill. As we said earlier, you get weekly video updates, okay, and weekly alerts. And again, you get to follow all the moves we make in $100,000, okay, real portfolio. So you're also going to get access to a private Trinity Trade room. All the trades are going to be posted in there. So the Trinity Trade room is a room exactly like you guys are in right now, okay? And literally all the moves he's going to make, you are going to be able to communicate with Gianni, okay? And pretty much like almost a one-to-one fashion over there. You can use retirement accounts. You can use any broker you want. People always ask about like different brokers and levels and so forth. We can help you with that. If you have an issue with a brokerage firm, okay, we can definitely help you with that here at TheoTrade. Most of us actually come from the brokerage firm, brokerage world. We come from that background. Next over here, you can email us anytime, receive a response within 24 hours, including trade related questions. We're doing 50 spots today, okay, on that riskless, 30-day money back guarantee. Look, get results, take action, enroll for Trinity Trade now. There's no risk to you. I also want to throw this in here and just make sure that everybody knows the number. As I was saying, as you're enrolling, single payment, okay, or break down to two payments. But at the very top of this, critically important. If you need us, call us. If you've got more questions than we're answering in here, we're going to stay in chat for a few minutes, answer a few questions. But if you need us, call us 623-244-5657. We are here to answer your questions. Again, it's theotrade.com/Trinity. Again, theotrade.com/Trinity. As I said, we'll stay here for a few minutes and answer some questions kind of on a one-to-one basis in the chat room. Thanks, everybody. I know we went over our time. I'm going to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Okay. Again, theotrade.com/Trinity. Thanks, everybody. Gianni, on behalf of myself, everybody here at TheoTrade, thank you for actually joining us this afternoon from Italy, or evening. What are you, 9, 10 o'clock at night already?
Yeah, almost 9:30. It's dinner time now, so
Dinner time in Italy. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon.
next
Bye-bye.
time.